Hey everyone, I am in the upstairs bathroom today, and what I'm going to be doing is fixing this leaking faucet. So stay tuned. So if you're new to the channel, just want to welcome you here, and hopefully you'll consider subscribing if you like what you see. Also, check out DIY Apprentice on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. I post lots of pictures and videos on those platforms before I post anything on YouTube. And occasionally I'll post things on those platforms I don't post on YouTube. Also, check out the website at DIYapprentice.com. And don't forget to hit the like button if you like this video. So I am in this beautiful 1970s remodeled bathroom. Actually, no, this is the way it originally was back in the 70s. And it has not changed since then. So this is a bathroom that at some point we're going to have to remodel. So I want to get that one downstairs done, and then we'll talk about getting this one done after that. So in the meantime, since this is the only functioning bathroom in the house, I need to take care of this leak here. That's what we're going to tackle today. Now, as you can see, this one's dripping pretty frequently. It was not so bad a while back. It has gotten much worse. And of course, that's also not good for our water bill. So I've got to take care of that today. So let's get into it. All right, so I'm going to test each side to see which one is causing our problem. So if I push on the cold water lever to close it a little bit more, doesn't change the frequency of the dripping at all. If I push on the hot water, you can see it stopped there for an instant at least. So that is most likely our culprit. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and turn the water off, and we'll check this out and see what we got going on in there. This is just an initial check. A more definitive test would be to turn off the cold water at the valve under the sink to see if the hot water is still dripping, and vice versa. All right, so I'm going to turn the hot water and the cold water off, because if I just turn the hot water off and I leave the cold water on and I accidentally open this valve, we could have a little fountain in the bathroom here. So I'm going to try to avoid that. Turn the hot water off and cold. Okay, both of those are off. And we can see our dripping has stopped here. All right, so this is a Delta faucet, by the way. And we're going to take the handle off next. So there's a set screw on the side that is 3/32. So I've got the hex key here. Go ahead and loosen this up. All right, so then I'll just pull the handle straight up, pull it off, set that aside. And we have this nut right there. So this nut is, I believe it's 29/32. I'm using a metric size because I only have metric sockets for the most part. And the metric size is 23 millimeters. So we'll go ahead and take this off. Set that aside. There's our stem right there. So let's go ahead and pull that out. Just lift it straight up. All right, so now that I've got this apart, I'm always intrigued by how these things work. So I'm going to talk through this a little bit just from my perspective here. And basically, we've got our stem right there. Got our washer that holds the stem down. And we've got our handle that controls the movement of the stem. So we have a supply line, a hot water supply line that's connected to the faucet. And then inside here, there's actually a seat and a spring. So I'm going to pull that out real quick. So there's our spring right there. Hopefully you can see that in my hands here. And then our seat sits on top of that spring. On the underside of the stem, you probably notice there's an impression right there of the seat. There's a round circle right there. It's in black. So this rides along that. When the water's turned off, then the seat sits on the bottom of the stem like this, in this position. And then when we turn the water on, then it opens up this way. So then now we've got our hole right above our seat. So that allows water to flow through. Right over here, there's a hole right inside the faucet, so the water can flow through the faucet and out this faucet head. So pretty interesting. Now this seems to turn just fine. I don't feel anything broken or anything like that. And most likely what has happened is the O-ring here, and I believe there's one on the inside too. Yeah, there's one right there. These are, one of these is most likely failing. I believe it's the one on the outside because it's the most thin of the two. I can see that it's a little bit worn. There was also no water sitting on top of the stem when I removed it from the faucet, meaning the small O-ring was still doing its job. So we have a couple options here. Basically, we can replace the whole thing, or we can replace the O-rings. So it's going to be cheapest to replace the O-rings and try that out, see if that works for us. I think that's going to fix our problem. So the part number on this one, this is a Danco T24134. You can see right there, repair kit for Delta. Let's go ahead and take this apart here. Pull this O-ring off and the outside O-ring. Okay, so there are going to be several O-rings in here we can choose from. The large one looks like the one we need for sure. So here is the large one. Take that out, compare it to that. Looks like it's the same one, same size. So that's our large replacement. You can see this one's really thin. It's gotten kind of flattened out, and this one's a little more round. And this one, see if we can find the matching one for that. That is going to be, looks like this one here. Yeah, the other one's a little bit too fat. All right, so before I put this back together, I've read that it's probably a good idea to lubricate these. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take a look at this. Doesn't look there's much of a contact point here between this part, the interior of this part here, and the stem. There's not much going on there. So down here at the bottom, I'm also going to put a little bit of lubricant. Then on the O-rings, I'm also going to lubricate those, just so they don't break down as quickly over time. So from working on cars, I know that a silicone lubricant is best when you're working with rubber parts, or in this case, I believe this is probably a nitrile. So I've got some silicone paste here. I don't have any kind of plumber's type of silicone, so I'm going to use this. Alright, so I'm going to put this back in now. You can see there's two notches there. It's one on this side and one on this side. And there's a notch there. I'm turning the stem so that the flat side is facing this notch here. Let's go ahead and put that back in. Alright, so I'll put the nut back on now. Tighten that down. Again, that's a 29-30 seconds, I believe, and it's also 23 millimeters is the equivalent of that. And we'll put our handle back on. That goes over here like that. And we'll tighten that set screw down right there. That is 3/30 seconds. Okay. Check our operation here. Alright, so moment of truth, we're going to turn the water on. I'm not going to open the valve just yet. I want to see if we have any leaks around the handle first. So let's go ahead and do that. Turn the hot water on first. That's no good. Okay, so that actually did not solve my problem. And what I discovered, kind of playing around with this, I looked at the other parts in the kit. So we've got this rubber seat here, we've got the spring. And when I look at the seat looks a little worn on the top. So I replaced the spring and the seat. The spring is actually pretty worn too if you look at this here. Tighten this down now. Okay. And I'm going to put the knob on temporarily here, not going to cinch it down just yet. I'm also going to turn the water back on. That seems to have done it. Alright, so I came back the next morning and this was dripping again. And it was a slow drip this time, not a fast drip. So my thought was most likely what is happening, since we changed out the O-rings, I confirmed that there's no water coming up through here, and the O-ring inside of here is just fine. Most likely what has happened is that the stem and the seat are not making good contact when the water's turned off. So there's actually a shim right there. I don't know if you can see that. It's a plastic shim. Let me take this off here real quick. There we go. I took this off. Then I put the stem back in. Without this spacer, now this nut can drop down further, bringing our stem closer to our seat. And so when the water's turned off, this stem is sitting right on top of the seat, and they're basically making contact like they should. All right, and that's pretty much it. Now if I turn the water back on, turn on the hot water and cold, turn the water on, and turn it off, wait for a few minutes here. So at least initially we don't have any dripping at all, and I actually let this sit for at least probably about an hour. Did not see one drip whatsoever. Alright, so there you have it. The leak is fixed in the faucet, and it was pretty interesting learning about this stuff. I got to kind of play around with it a little bit to learn from my perspective. I like to take things apart to learn how they work versus doing a lot of book learning. So every once in a while that comes in handy too, but really getting in there, taking this apart, that really helped a lot. So basically changing out the O-rings kind of sort of helped out, not really, but replacing the seat and the spring, that helped quite a bit. But the next day we did have a drip, and then taking out this little spacer underneath the nut to drop the stem down closer to the seat, that really helped out. That really worked and solved our problem. So hopefully this information was helpful, and thanks for watching. See links in the description below. Comment, like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to check us out on social media. And thanks for watching.